Good morning, everyone. I miss you guys so much. But just because we're stuck at home doesn't mean we can't share our Wings of Fire book. I've got it right here. So every day I'm going to read one chapter from our book. So what I want you to do is I want you to get a comfy chair or find somewhere comfy that you want to sit so you can get all settled so that we can read our book. Now, I'm all ready because I already found my glasses, which we know I'm always searching for, and I've got my coffee. So we're all ready to read. So once you're settled, I'm going to reread the last few pages of what we read before March break so we can remind our brains what was happening. And then we'll get into our new chapter. So get ready because I'm about to start. Okay, guys. So I'll read the last page before we get started. So a lot like the land they'd left behind and the land they were on, apparently. Except, was that the snow in the distance? Glory gave her scales a moment to shift, and then she lifted into the sky. They hadn't been able to see it in the dark the night before, but there was definitely snow on the taller hills ahead of them, and more snow beyond that. Glory shivered. It would get colder from here, and it was already close to unbearable. This had to be tough on Sunny and Clay as well. Maybe the others could stay here while she went on ahead. In fact, maybe she should go ahead right now without them, so no one else would be at risk. Except she knew perfectly well that her idiot friends would follow her and just get in worse trouble without her there to help. If she wanted to go on without them, then she'd have to convince them to be smart, listen to her, and stay behind. There was something large up ahead in the snow-covered hills, some kind of building. It couldn't be Glacier's palace, though. Glory knew that was far to the north, on the coldest tip of the peninsula, where no other dragons would ever want to go. This building was almost too far south for Ice Wings. So Glory flew a little bit closer and saw smoke rising from a few of its chimneys. Smoke means fire, she thought, which means not Ice Wings. She circled in the air and she studied it a bit more. It had to be Blaze and her Sandwings. Glory had been wondering how they survived in the Ice Kingdom. Apparently the answer was by not going very far into it. Suddenly a movement below caught her eye. She froze, hovering in the air and hoping her camouflage was perfect. There was a dragon among the rocks, not far from where her friends were sleeping, but not close enough to see them either. He was stamping his feet and slapping his wings together like he was trying to warm up. Mangrove? Glory thought hopefully, gliding a little bit closer. He wasn't camouflaged exactly, but he was black like a nightwing. Maybe he thought that would hide him well enough. And then the dragon blew out a small plume of fire, heating the ground below him before curling up on it. So it wasn't a rainwing. It was an actual nightwing on his own in Icewing territory. Well, that can't be good news. Okay, chapter 13. Why was there a nightwing here of all places? Glory glided quietly away and landed softly out of his sight. Her curiosity was too strong to resist, so she needed a disguise. The only logical dragons that should be wandering around here were Icewings and maybe some of their Sandwing allies. She closed her eyes and remembered the Icewing who had fought Clay in the arena, Fjord, the first dragon she'd killed with her venom. She'd had no choice. He'd been moments away from killing Clay. Plus, she'd had no idea what her venom could do. She'd just known instinctively that she could do something, that she had to do something, that she had a weapon she'd never even known about. Starflight thought that perhaps she couldn't have used her venom under the mountain anyway. He said it might have been activated by finally exposing her scales to full sunlight, the way Clay's fireproof abilities had come to full strength once he'd encountered mud for the first time. Glory couldn't help but wonder how different life might have been if she could have threatened the Guardians the way that they had threatened her. Focus, Fjord. His pale blue scales, the color of sky-filled snow, his darker blue eyes. She felt the changes shimmer across her scales. The hardest part was the extra horns Icewings had around their heads. She concentrated on making her ruff look like it had been made of icicles, and she hoped that that would do. She also couldn't make her claws ridged like the Ice Wing claws, and her tail wasn't as whip-thin at the end as an Ice Wing's would be. Maybe this is a bad idea, she thought. Maybe there's no way I'll get away with it. But it was still pretty dark out, and she really, really wanted to know what a Nightwing was doing out here. Well, she thought ruefully, if he figures me out, I guess I'll just kill him. Somehow it didn't sound as funny as she hoped. She leaped into the air and flew back to the spot where she'd seen the strange dragon. For a moment she was afraid she'd lost him, before she realized he was lying down, his black scales half hidden in the long shadows. Confidence, she told herself. It's all about attitude. Hey, she barked, landing with a thump beside him. Who are you and what are you doing in our territory? The Nightwing leaped up in surprise and stared at her. He was a lot younger and smaller than Morosir, wiry and graceful in his movements even when he was startled. The silver scales sparkled under his wings, caught the morning light like trapped stars. Great moons! Where did you come from? He asked. He looked up at the sky with a puzzled expression. Where do you think? She said. And I'm asking the questions here. What are you doing in the Ice Kingdom? Technically, this isn't the Ice Kingdom yet, he said. Or didn't you know that? It isn't, she thought. The map she'd memorized didn't exactly have borders drawn on it. Not that those would have helped her out here anyway. You're close enough, she growled. Explain yourself. She wished she had a spear or something that she could poke at him with. It will be Ice Kingdom territory one day, said the Nightwing. If Blaze wins the war, that is. She's promised Queen Glacier all the land you can see from here to the southern horizon, especially, or basically, where the desert starts. He pointed, but Glory stopped herself from looking and she kept her eyes on him. The Nightwing smiled. I suppose you know all that, he said. But it's interesting, isn't it? That's a lot of land Blaze is willing to hand over, but not exactly useful land to either tribe. So what would Queen Glacier want with it? Do you think there's treasure under these rocks? That would be my guess. A diamond mine, perhaps. Maybe you know. Maybe all the Ice Wings know and are wisely keeping it a secret from Blaze and her Sandwings. He gave her a clever look, as if he'd just opened up her mind and spread it out on the rocks for them to admire together. A horrible, sinking feeling shot through Glory. She'd forgotten that Nightwings could read minds. Well, some Nightwings, she reminded herself. Certainly not Starflight. And she thought not Morosir, judging from his lack of reaction to all the thoughts she'd had about him. Maybe this dragon was one who could see the future instead. Still, she forced every thought out of her mind except, what are you doing here? Answer my questions, Nightwing, she said, or I'll take you to Queen Glacier and you can explain yourself to her. Oh, that wouldn't be a good idea, he said. You really don't want the rest of my tribe to come looking for me. And you really don't want to sit in a dungeon made of ice until they show up, which would most likely be sometime after you froze to death, she pointed out. So tell me, what are you doing here? And then perhaps I'll let you go. It's a win-win. He tilted his head, looking amused. All right, he said after a moment. I'm waiting for someone. Well, a few someones. Who? She asked. I can't tell you that, he said. Nightwing business, I'm afraid. But I'm on an assignment. I didn't know Nightwings had business, Glory said. I thought you skulked around in your secret locations, congratulating one another on knowing everything and doing nothing. The Nightwing started laughing. Nobody talks to us like that, he said. Where's your sense of awe, your terror of our powers? He spread his wings majestically, but his eyes were teasing. If your powers were that impressive, you'd do something to stop this war, she said. Also, I'm the one with the freezing death breath here. She nearly slipped and said venom, but either way it was true. Nightwing powers weren't that spectacular when it came to actual battle. Starflight's were downright pathetic. Maybe we'll help stop the war someday, he said. Maybe we haven't picked a side yet, like the Dragonettes of the prophecy. Glory kept her face calm and bored. That old thing, she said. I don't believe in prophecies. Sorry, I know they're a Nightwing specialty, but seriously, If you can actually see the future, why be all cryptic and vague about it? Why not give us a prophecy like, oh, by the way, Blaze is going to win the war, so give her the crown now and don't even bother fighting about it. You could skip all the death and bloodshed and leave a bunch of poor dragonettes out of it. The Nightwing laughed again, pardon me. You feel sorry for the dragonettes, he said. That's interesting. I've seen a lot of that around Pariah, actually. Everyone expects so much of them, but they also think it's a heavy burden for 5 young dragons. I wonder if the dragonettes would be surprised by all the sympathy for them. He looked thoughtful for a moment, and then he yawned. You haven't seen any sign of them here, have you? Rumor has it that they were headed for the Ice Kingdom next. Really? Glory said impassively. Why? To meet Blaze, I suppose, he said. So, are they here? In Queen Glacier's dungeon already, perhaps? Nope, Glory said. No sign of them, none at all. She thought of snowstorms and sheets of ice, blocking all of her other thoughts. He studied her for a moment. Right, he said. Well, they couldn't have gotten here that fast anyway. It's a long way from the Kingdom of the Sea. How do you know that they were there? Glory asked. Oh, wait, I forgot. Nightwings are all-knowing, all-seeing, and all-brilliant, right? Don't forget all-wonderful and all-handsome, he said. She snorted to cover her laugh. How would anyone know that when you all stay hidden away like turtles, she said. Seriously, come hang out with dragons in the real world sometime. Is that an invitation, he asked. I probably have a day or two before before my work can begin. I wouldn't mind seeing the inside of an Icewing Tavern if you'll be there. Glory felt a little shiver of danger slip along her spine. So let me get this straight, she said. You're telling me nothing about why you're here, but you expect me to bring you into our kingdom and buy you a drink? Nightwings really do think highly of themselves, don't they? What if I bought you that drink, he offered. Oh, then I'm sure Queen Glacier would understand. No problem, Glory said. She loves strange dragons in her territory. It's her very favorite thing. The Nightwing smiled a little wistfully. All right, he said. Never mind. But maybe you could come back and see me sometime. I'll be here for a few more days at least, probably. And it's pretty boring just sitting here. Waiting for your mysterious someones, Glory said, which you're not going to tell me anything more about. He spread his wings. Sorry, I wish I could. I bet my job would impress you. I am not easily impressed, Glory said, and she was surprised when he laughed again. Well, good luck with your assignment, I suppose. What's your name? He asked as she took a step back. Oh, sorry, I can't tell you that, she said mockingly. I swing business. Who knew sarcasm could grow in a place this cold? He said with a smile. Will you tell me your name if I tell you mine? Nope, she said. Frankly, I'm not that interested. She turned her back and spread her wings. I'll tell you anyway, he said, as she lifted into the sky. If you'll come see me again, will you? Maybe, she called back. I'm pretty busy. My name, he called. She slowed down to listen, but she didn't look back. My name is Deathbringer. And that's the end of chapter 13. Deathbringer just told Glory that she was sarcastic. I wonder if you can think of a different Dragonette of Destiny that is pretty sarcastic. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed our chapter today. I'll read another one for tomorrow. Bye, guys!